last forever. It will never fade away. Never cause me pain. This love, this love, this love.
Good evening. Hello. And hello.
We can't hear, sister.
Good evening. Om Shanti. And hello to all of you on Zoom. And warm welcome to you here. The renovation of the place is still happening, but by the end of the month, everything should be finished. So we have come together this evening to look a little bit at self-compassion. Is that correct? You have come for that, to hear about having compassion for the self? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
No, I'm curious because this is usually, hello. We are usually very, very good and almost ever ready to help others, right? To give support to others when others going through some rough time, they're not feeling well. We get easily concerned. There's a whole healthcare system to look after, to care for those who are physically, mentally weak. And we can get a lot of, we can take our esteem actually from helping others. And at the same time, so many, and of course, it's not only in the healthcare profession, but in general also, but definitively also in the healthcare profession, and it affects all different levels, whether it's a nurse or a doctor, is very high. Sometimes doctors are more stressed than the patient even. We have the nature to help, right? And it is relatively easy to be with others, to help others. But it does not come so natural for all of us to attend the self when the self needs support, help, kindness, love, encouragement. Do you find that this is true, or that it's easier? What is easier for you, to care for others, to help others, or to actually help yourself if there's a need? To help others, yeah, we don't have to be shy about it. It's something that is much, much easier. And when it comes to care for the self, many times we don't even know how to do that, right? And what does compassion actually mean? You know, there's sympathy, there's empathy, compathy. I'm just creating this word, but compassion falls into that category. What does compassion, to have compassion in general, what does that mean to you? Take a moment. How would you define it? How would you describe that quality? To be compassionate.
Ability to feel the difficulty or suffering of others.
Okay. Anyone else? What does it mean? You know, what does it mean to you? It doesn't have to be the perfect description.
Being empathetic towards their situation, like why are they behaving?
Being
The way they're
empathetic
behaving, yeah.
towards
Yeah.
that one's situation. Yeah.
Being kind and non-judgmental.
Being kind and non-judgmental. Yeah. Very good. Very good. I found some quotes and I thought I would like to read them out to you. Thought they are very enlightening. They are very meaningful. The first one is from Dalai Lama, and he made that quote a few years ago. So what does it mean to have compassion or be compassionate? The wish that all beings may be free of suffering. The pure wish that all living beings are free of suffering. Then another quote from Paul Gilbert. Compassion means to have deep awareness of suffering, of the suffering of oneself and others and other living beings, coupled with the wish and the effort to alleviate it. So we have that element of being empathetic, but then he's coupling it with a wish to help, to take an action to alleviate that suffering, right? Here we have another one. Compassion is not wanting sorrow to remain in another. So is not wanting sorrow to remain in another, and having the strength to remove that sorrow. And this is a quote from, some of you might be familiar with that name, Dadi Janki. She passed on already. At the age of 104, she left the body, and she was leading the organization of the Brahmakumaris for several years. So it's a very insightful and meaningful statement, also a quote, that compassion is not wanting sorrow to remain in others. We want everyone to be happy, right? We don't want anyone to see experiencing any form of sorrow or suffering, and having the strength to remove that sorrow. And the last one, saying in Myanmar, when the sunshine of loving kindness meets the tears of suffering, when the sunshine of loving kindness meets the tears of suffering, the rainbow of compassion arises. Yeah. So come with, from the Latin passion, suffering, to be with the one who is suffering, to be with the one who is going through some challenges, right? Empathy is certainly an element of it. Little bit of empathy. Empathy means we connect, you put yourself in the shoe of the other one. How is the other one feeling? But if we leave it at that level of just having empathy, or you go too much into the feeling of how that other one is feeling, then we start to take on that burden, and then we are in the same place as the other one, right? So there is no possibility to be of help, actually. But yet, different cultures, there are many people actually. I come from one of those in Europe, in Central Europe, in Austria. Maybe not everyone, but especially maybe the elder generation. Many expect you to suffer with them, because if you don't suffer with them, it means you don't love them. So this is a kind of belief that has been created, that is only when we suffer together does it mean that you actually have love for me. But to have love, to express love, to share love doesn't mean at all, or imply that there is pain or suffering. And if both of us suffer, we need a third one to help us. You understand? And compassion is actually a very beautiful quality, where you show empathy. You're with the other one, you're with the one who is experiencing pain, emotional pain, maybe even physical pain, some hardship. But you also understand. So there's that element of empathy, but you also understand the cause of their suffering, right? And like Dadi was saying in her quote, it does require strength, inner strength, to actually be able to help the other one come out of that suffering, if that one chooses to. Yeah? We cannot force anyone to be happy if they don't want to. Some are just holding on very tightly to their pain. Not everyone. And if we want to help others, if we want to have or to have compassion for others, it certainly requires that I also have compassion for myself. And I know how to give that to myself. What is it that I do when I have compassion? Let's just take a moment, and it's a little bit of an exercise. Sit relaxed, comfortably. It's a mental exercise. Maybe remember someone. You can create a scenario also, it's up to you, or you know someone or from the past that someone, a close one, a friend, was going through some rough time. And you came, you made yourself available, and you were with that person. Just connect inwardly and create that scenario in your mind. But it's someone you know very well, someone you are close with. And you are with that one. What would be your first action? What is it that you would do immediately as you come to know, as you're then in front of that person who is going through some really challenging time? Maybe has an illness, maybe a very close one left body, and there's that experience of loss, and that one is very affected by it. Could be just emotional pain. Something really unpleasant happened. What would be your immediate reaction, but in a positive way? How would you attend that one from your instinct? What would be the action that you would take? And if you would speak to that person, what would your tone of voice be like? What kind of words would you speak? What would be your body posture be like? Would you sit next to that person, stand in front? Would you touch that person? Or would you be at distance? How would you relate to that being at that time? What feelings would emerge in you? How would you feel for or about that person? And now, we turn that, we move towards the self. Now, if you have compassion for yourself, if maybe there is something going on in your life, or there was something in the past, somewhere an area where you're struggling a little bit, where you feel maybe a little bit stressed, and now you meet yourself. You attend yourself. What would be your instinctive action towards yourself in such a moment? How would you relate to the self? If you speak to the self, what would be the tone of voice? What would be the kind of words that you would say to yourself? What are the feelings that would emerge for yourself? And so in the next step now, I want to ask you to compare these two scenarios. The way you attended a loved one, a close friend, at a time of need when he or she was struggling with something, and how did you attend yourself when you were going through some difficult moments, times? Was there any difference? Was it easier to attend the friend or easier to attend the self? Did you attend in the same way? Or what were the differences? Is there anyone who would like to? You don't have to share the whole thing, but just in essence, if one or two would like to share, what was that like for you? Was it the same? Was there a difference? And what was the difference?
I think maybe for me, the main difference is more patience for the other person and myself.
Mhm. Someone is saying here, maybe a little bit more patience for the other person than for the self. Yeah. Were you able to attend yourself? Yeah, so I think this is an area where we need experience, where we need a little bit of guidance, where we need a little bit of experience and practice. Now, it's actually not difficult, should be one of the most natural ways to treat the self, to have compassion for the self at moments where I am going through difficulties. But actually, it has become one of the most challenging actions. And we're living in the time where everyone needs that compassion and needs to learn to actually give that to the self. In order to help myself I first of all have to notice that I'm not well, that I'm experiencing pain, that I'm struggling, that I'm suffering. Now, for the majority of us, these are moments, these are times of challenge, of difficulties. And typically, I would say the average person, when they experience stress, when they are struggling with something, when they are suffering, either you take the phone, you call someone, you go out, you meet people, you distract yourself in one or another way. And I think the COVID time was a time where we all have become much more aware of our own pains and also the pains of others. And because many are not accustomed to attend the self in a loving, caring, kind, friendly manner, not only that, but the whole idea to meet myself, to give comfort to myself, is foreign for many. And so typically when we experience any form of stress or discomfort, like I said, we typically distract ourselves. We literally run away from the self. We can't take it. It's like you have someone around you or with you who is complaining, who is not feeling well, who is suffering in a way, or who is criticizing, maybe talking of what is not working or what should be, what others are doing. Now, such a company is not very pleasant, right? It's not uplifting. So we typically turn around and move away from people who are not happy, more or less. And definitively we do this from our own self. And you can imagine there's already pain, there's already discomfort. I distract myself. I don't care. I don't take care of myself. And something else will happen and something else will happen. It also affects my sleep. Eventually, it can manifest in physical illness, mental illness in, advanced stages, in extreme cases. One element of self-care, of having self-compassion, compassion for the self, compassion is very much connected with expressing kindness. It's actually a concept, an understanding that Buddhists, from the Buddhist tradition, they're working a lot with compassion, right? It requires me to express kindness, friendliness, to care. These are different manifestations or expressions of love. And in order to help myself, in order to support myself at moments or times of difficulties, I have to be prepared for, because where am I going to take that kindness or that love from if I haven't, especially in a moment of difficulty? Yeah. And that's why meditation even mindfulness practices are very, very helpful and useful and necessary, actually. Both approaches, whether it's mindfulness practice or one or another meditation practice, what they have in common is that you turn inward and you learn to connect with your beautiful qualities. You consciously touch base with, connect with, think about, reflect on, and touch base with quality of love, for example, right? Peace. And you practice going within and learning to look at the self. Now, to look at myself with compassion, to care for myself. I have to know that my original nature is peace, is love, is kindness, is even happiness and joy. And where is my original nature? Where can I find it? Not anywhere in the body, not even at the time of my birth. So that is when we connect to our spiritual identity. We have this physical identity, but when we connect to our spiritual identity, I come to know that my original nature as a spiritual being, as a soul, as a being of light, is of peace, is of love, is of happiness. Right? So at one point, I was that. At one time, I have felt these qualities. I lived those qualities. I experienced them. I was peaceful, happy, joyful. And even if you don't believe in reincarnation, in a journey of the soul, where the soul travels through time by taking a rebirth, even if you want to focus only on this life, there were times in this life where you were happy, where there was well-being, where you enjoyed, where everything was okay. So then you would have to make that effort to remember, connect to a memory where you felt happy, where you felt loved, where you felt being loved. You emerge that memory. So to bring this experience in that present moment to help you connect to that love in order to express it towards that part within you that is suffering. Consciousness, because who is suffering, who is experiencing pain, is I, the being that experiences everything in this body. I am feeling everything, experiencing everything. But it is not that my whole being is like, how to say, consciousness has different levels, different depths. So there's a part of you connected with a memory probably that is suffering, but it doesn't mean it's the entire being. And whatever I feel, whatever I experience through my mind. And my mind is part of me, the being. So if I, the being, I have a mind, and I feel that pain, that struggle, that sorrow through my mind, I can look at my mind. I can look at that part within my own being that is going through some challenging moments. That's what it means to turn the vision on your own self. You emerge the best part within you, and from that place of light is like representing the sun, right? From that place of light or sunshine, you're looking at that part within you that experiences pain. So now, how do I relate to that part within me that is going through something? So I will relate with love, with care, with kindness. Like when you help, when you support a loved one, a friend, when you have compassion for someone, would you speak in with harsh words? Would you yell at that one? Would you be aggressive? No, of course not. However, when it comes to the self, and when we turn within, it is very easy to also meet your own inner critic, the inner critical voice. And some of us have that strong habit, which is connected to our upbringing. When we grew up, there was probably someone in one of the closer caregivers who was very critical, and we have adopted that, we internalized that, and we have adopted that critical voice, and now we are self-critical. And that's how I talk to myself. So if I have that habit, then it will be a little bit difficult to emerge that love and to be kind to that part that is already experiencing. If I'm more on the critical side, then I will maybe not take the pain very serious. Maybe I make a sarcastic comment. Maybe I will tell myself that you're just making it up, or it's not so bad. Don't behave like that. You know, you will brush it off maybe. You will not, instead of taking it serious, meaning, yes, I admit there's pain. I am suffering. That part is saying, yes. So to help myself, I first of all have to admit that this part is suffering, that this part is struggling within me. And is that okay? What does it mean to me if I'm struggling? Now we live in a time, in a world, in a time we have very strong awareness about gender consciousness. And associated with certain gender, there are certain roles and certain behaviors, certain attitudes. But there are many other aspects also that influence my attitude, my belief, that form my belief system. But how comfortable am I with myself when I am in trouble? And if you experiment a little bit with yourself, you will notice many times our relationship with ourselves when we are in trouble is not very friendly. First of all, we don't want to attend, and then, okay, I turn towards myself But then how I speak to myself and what I say is not necessarily encouraging, comforting, soothing. We may feel shy, we may feel guilty, we may feel even ashamed. And if I'm afraid of those emotions, then I will again distance myself from myself at a moment where I need utmost care, love, acceptance, non-judgmental attitude. So like, you can think of how you would help a friend. How would you express your compassion or be compassionate? How would that look like towards your friend? And then I need to practice giving that, attending in that same way, with that same sweetness, with that same love, patience, acceptance, encouragement towards my own self. Somehow I find it happen. I know it from my own journey very well, that the way we lived our life, we actually became very, very distant from our own selves. We have become strangers for our own selves. And so that's why the practice of meditation is very, very useful, and I find very, very necessary, because it also means that during the day, morning time, maybe even throughout the day and in the evening before I go to bed, I take few minutes, I take some quality time out of my life, of my daily busy time schedule, in order to be with myself, to meet myself. And of course, if you want to meet someone, then you want to meet someone, you want to be friendly, but you also want to meet someone who is friendly, right? Nice, sweet, kind, happy. So I need to have a relationship with my inner self in order for me to actually and to care for myself in this way, so that I can be in a more consistent way in a happy mode. And I also can attend to myself when I'm not so happy, and I can give comfort to myself so that I can come back and be happy again. You understand? And so through the practice of meditation, we learn to turn inward, but we are also learning and practicing to connect to our highest potential, to our original goodness, to our innate goodness. We choose to remember moments where life was good, take strength from that, experience a moment when you were happy. You're in this way, as you're activating this memory and experience it, you're bringing these feelings into that moment right now. And it can be a support. I can use it as a bridge to build on, to give support to myself and comfort. We have a lot of expectations on the self. Many times unrealistic expectations, very high expectations. We're not giving the self the time, the chance to really fulfill these expectations also. We are never fast enough. We are sometimes, for many, you yourself never good enough for yourself. When I turn within and be with myself, I need to have such good feelings and I need to be enough for myself. I need to be content with myself. Because if I am not, I will experience something different, right? And who will help me? We expect others to help us. And even worse, we blame others for what is happening to me or what I'm going through, what I'm experiencing. Another danger is that when I'm going through something, because there's a lack of self-care, there's a lack of self-knowledge, there's a lack of self-care, meeting the self in a healthy way, not having that relationship with myself, that I start to isolate myself. And I think, oh, I'm the only one who has to go through this. And I start to even have maybe self-pity. But there are many who go through difficulties many times. And many people experience much more hardship than some of us. So that doesn't mean that I have to take strength or happiness from the suffering of others, but also I must not be too self-centered and too over-focused on what is wrong, what did not go well, the pain, or whatever it is that I'm experiencing. I have to address it. You take it serious, meaning you don't have to minimize it. But if then all my thinking and speaking is all about my pain, that is also not appropriate and healthy, right? And when we exercise compassion, self-compassion, but it especially applies to when we are compassionate towards others, it doesn't mean we need to rescue someone. It's not about rescuing. We cannot do that. But if I have a healthy relationship with myself, right, and I'm able to uplift myself at challenging times, difficult times, I can give comfort to myself. There is kindness expressed, manifested in different ways. Then we are also of use for others. That means the way I can attend others, the way I can express my compassion towards others will be also much more meaningful without taking on the burden of it. And compassion is a quality that's coming from the heart. That means to have true compassion for someone, I need to also be in touch with my own feelings. And that's another thing that we are learning through the practice of meditation, to get in touch with my own feelings, come to know myself and all the different feelings, but also understand that feeling is something that I feel. It does not reflect of who I am. A feeling is temporary. But if I overindulge and if I give overly importance to feeling of experiencing some loss or some pain, some difficulty, if, like I said before, if we overindulge in that, then that is certainly not healthy either. So I'm not able then to also care for myself. Okay, so maybe I will stop at this point and check in with you. Do you have a question? Is there something you want to share? Or is there a comment you want to make?
I have a question.
I will repeat that because the additional microphone is not working. So
First of all, I really enjoyed the talk. And I'm curious how you would address a feeling and comfort a feeling that maybe you don't know how to solve. I feel like when there's compassion, when people show me compassion, part of their tone of voice is like, hey, like everything's gonna be alright, like everything's gonna be fine. But part of this feeling is that it feels like there's danger that things might not be fine.
Mm.
And I'm not sure how to show compassion in the moments. Do you have any thoughts on that?
That's a very nice question, actually. He's saying that, to have compassion and to actually have true compassion or be compassionate versus to be truly compassionate, there are differences. One level of being compassionate, you attend that person and you give comfort and you try to say that everything is okay, don't, things are not so bad the way they seem and so, but the one suffering, experiencing difficulty, might feel there is some danger. There's some feeling that no, it's not okay. It's not just okay, right? Because many times there's a cause why I'm struggling, why I'm feeling certain feelings. And that's why I love especially the quote by Dadi, for example, or also from Myanmar, the saying that when the sunshine of loving kindness meets the tears of suffering, the rainbow of compassion arises. Actually, that doesn't really say everything, but Dadi is saying compassion is not wanting sorrow to remain in another and to have the strength to remove that sorrow. That means I need to know the cause of it. And so the more I have experience on my own self, right, the more I can then also help others. Like there could be a feeling of, can give an example, for example, when we have emotional reactions in relationships, right? So the immediate reaction might be of anger, for example. You feel stressed, there is anger. There is shame. Any form of anger, annoyance, frustration. So there's an immediate reaction first, right? So they call it heart feeling. But then under that reaction, under that heart feeling, there's a softer emotion. And that softer emotion, that could be, I don't feel safe. I feel unsafe. I feel threatened. I feel fearful. I feel ashamed. I feel, what else can it be? So here it would be very useful if we can name that feeling. So by listening to yourself, right? And maybe I just have to educate myself also a little bit in this area. The more I can name what I am feeling, it helps me to ground myself also in the moment. The more specific I can be, the more useful it is, because under this soft feeling, there is actually an unmet need. So, for example, if I feel threatened, I feel so threatened, I'm so afraid. So it's a soft feeling, I name it. And the unmet need is, I need to feel safe. So when I feel threatened, I don't feel safe. I need to feel safe. And this is then what I need to give to myself. So many times there is fear, or even worse, like I feel threatened by something very subtle or gross, an appearance, a voice, the words that were spoken, the gestures sometimes. I have to understand that that fear is coming from a memory, it's coming from the past, is something I have created in the past. But it is playing out now. But right now, I may not be in any danger. But I am reliving it. It got triggered. So if I understand that, then first of all, I acknowledge that I feel afraid. I feel so afraid. Then, secondly, I can look at it because I, the being, originally am peaceful. And whatever I feel here is, I feel it in the mind. What I feel is not who I am. Let's put it this way. Okay, it's something that I feel, and to feel is an ability. Is not who I am, and therefore I am able to look at it. I feel it, I acknowledge it, I feel so afraid. Now I look at you. I can even speak to the fear. So I am what's happening. The moment I can look at it, there's a space between the fear and who I am, between the fear and me, the observer. And I, as the observer now, I can now stabilize myself in that awareness that I am a peaceful being. I am strong, wise, I'm peaceful, I have everything I need. And I feel safe. It is safe to feel safe. That fear got just triggered, but actually there is nothing. There's no danger in this moment. So that is something I need to understand. And then I need to attend myself with that information. I need to emerge within me that peaceful part. Again, what I feel is not who I am. So in this way, it becomes relatively easy to emerge your good qualities, your strength, and then you use your logic, your understanding, you know there is no threat right now, but yet I am feeling it. So it's something that I have created from the past. In the past, it got triggered, and that's why I'm feeling it now. And so you give yourself now that experience of being safe. How I internally now attend to myself. I can create that safe space. And then it's about learning to accommodate it. It will take a little while. I will have to do this exercise a few times in order for the force, that fear, to become less and less and less. Under observation, all the emotions die. But who is observing? I, the pure, peaceful, loveful, powerful, wise being. So that's your power, that you have to emerge. And I am safe. This is a safe space. And there's no need to feel afraid. But at the same time, you are acknowledging that you feel afraid. And so in this way, I can observe it and it will lose its power. If I don't face it in this way, then it will have power over me. But I, the pure, peaceful, loveful being, I, the being of light, I'm much bigger. I'm much stronger than this fear. But I have to emerge that awareness. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so, and just to kind of, not even to round up, but just one small comment at the end. If we practice spending quality time with the self, reminding the self about the goodness that I have, my strengths, getting used to relating to myself in a positive way. And to be considerate about the feelings of others. Not either or, both are important. I have to attend my own feelings. I have to attend my own self. I have to stay in connection with my own self. And while I'm in connection, connected to my potential, actually, to my goodness, I need to maintain that connection even when I am interacting with others, when I'm moving around. I am connected to my own light, to my own inner strength. And then I also have compassion for others. I have respect for others. I have love for others. That means I am also considerate. That means if someone is not so happy one day, maybe someone is looking a little bit sad, we don't have to wait until the big thing happens. But just to notice that the person next to you, something is not right. Show a little gesture of kindness. Little small gestures of love, of kindness can make a huge difference. Can make a huge difference for people. We don't have and we cannot solve the problems of others, but we can have at least consideration and notice when something is going on with someone, if they are not their own self, and they are unhappy, when they are sad, do something, smile at them genuinely, say a nice word, do something, use your creativity, because it will mean a lot to them. And then also, by taking few minutes here and there and be a little bit kind to your own self. Remind yourself of something that you did well, something, or maybe something did not work out, but you make so much effort, but for one or another reason it didn't happen. Doesn't mean you have failed. Maybe there was a less lack of strength, maybe you were nervous, maybe there was something missing. So just try it again, no? But to express loving kindness towards yourself, we need an environment of love in order to learn. And we have to learn to give that, create that for the self instead of expecting it from someone. But we are then also in a position where we are able to extend that and create that for others. Okay, so thank you. Let's just close with a short moment of meditation. So just sit comfortably. Take notice of your body, how your body posture. Take notice of your breath. and feel how good it feels, how thankful you are for yourself to just take a couple of moments to look within and create one pure thought for yourself. Acknowledge or remind yourself about something, a quality you have. Something good about yourself. Maybe just acknowledge your own presence. And can I feel grateful for my own existence? Be grateful for what I have. I may not have everything I desire, but I have so many things, so many people, so many comforts, opportunities to express goodness. Can I just emerge that feeling of thankfulness, of gratefulness, no matter what? There might be problems, situations, challenges, emotions. But I can resolve it, I can let go of it, I can come out of that. It will make me even stronger. Just silently say to your mind, say to yourself that I am a pure, peaceful, loveful, happy, wise, and powerful being. And knowing that, emerge that love and wish yourself well. Meet yourself with kindness, with love, and care for your feelings, for your being, for your thoughts. Always choose to connect to the light. Even in moments of darkness, the effort is to connect to the light. And you are the light. Om Shanti. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, sister. Good night.